Hello! So this is our first ever video of Sunnyside Drive Flowers and me doing a flower arrangement video. It's kind of crazy and kind of cool. So what you'll be receiving is your lovely hobnail vase, which I think is it's just beautiful. And you'll be receiving your bouquet of flowers. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through making your arrangement with your bouquet. One thing to think about is just because you have a shorter vase doesn't mean you have to do a tiny little arrangement. The general rule of thumb for arrangements is you want to go 1.5 times taller than your vase or 1.5 times wider than your vase. That balances, it balances for your eye, it just feels better, but it gives you balance. So think about the arrangement that you want. Are you going to go 1.5 times taller? Going to go 1.5 times wider? Because if you're doing short, if you only have short little tiny flowers, go wide. But you'll have some things, you'll have some branches, like you're going to have some apple blossoms, which is super special. Like this is something you only get in the spring. We cannot force this kind of thing at any other time of year. You'll get some apple blossoms, you'll get some, these are also crab apple, some darker foliage as a little base. So when you're making your arrangement, you want to think about where it's going. Are you going as a centerpiece? Are you going as more of a statement piece? Does it matter if you can see through it or not? Just think about those things. What you need to worry about when you make your arrangement is mechanics. You have all kinds of gorgeous tulips, varieties that you don't normally get. But the thing with tulips is they have longer stems. Sometimes they want to move in their own direction. They want to flop a little bit. So we need good mechanics so that our arrangement doesn't just fall all over the place. By mechanics, I mean anything that holds your arrangement together. Your mechanics can be visible. Your mechanics can be invisible. Today, our mechanics will be visible because they're going to be the apple blossom branch. I'm going to go a little taller just to show you how in a shorter vase you can do a larger arrangement. You want to measure. It's kind of hard here, but you want to measure and think like, how tall do I want this? Obviously, if I just pop this in like this, that is not going to work, right? That is going to toss my vase over. We're going to spill water. It's going to be sad. So measure it. I want to give us some height, but also I need this to work as a good base for my tulips. So you do want to measure because you don't want to cut it too short. You can always make things shorter. It's hard to make things longer. Now, this is still kind of flopping around, right? That's okay. It doesn't have to be in one spot right when we start. But this is going to give me a good grid. I have my other flowers. Let's get some apple blossoms, sorry. This direction. And some apple blossoms kind of poking out. Right. We'll do them kind of in the back. This is going to be kind of all around. It's not really one-sided. So you'll see I have my blossoms in here. I'm going to put this in the middle of my dining room table so it can just be fabulous and huge. So we turn it. We notice you've got it kind of heavier leaning this way, right? So we'll give it a little base, a little visual weight kind of over here. My leaves are going to be underwater. I don't want bacteria, So I take those leaves off, pop them down in. You'll receive a couple branches in your arrangement, in your bouquet. You won't have gigantic things you have to cut apart, but it'll help if you have clippers. So I like this. I don't think I want to do a lot of weight over here anymore, so we'll keep this here. And remember, you can always change something. Say you think to yourself, that's not really how I wanted it to go. Pull it out, do it a little differently. And it's kind of hard when you start with these branches. You can see that I'm not quite sure where I want things because they're going to wobble a little bit. So in your tulip bouquets, you'll get a few varieties. You'll get some bells, which are gorgeous. They have like this muddy watercolor peach look with some green and purple and mauve interior. And you'll notice what I'm doing, I'm reflexing the tulip, which means I'm just kind of putting my thumb at the base and kind of gently folding the petal over my thumb. It just kind of lets you see the inside of the flower. You don't have to do this for all your flowers, I'm just kind of showing it to you. But we'll get some bells, which are gorgeous. We'll get some type of frizzled tulip, either in a pink or in an orange. And we'll get some deep dark guys, like either Queen of the Night or double blacks, something to give it some weight. We've got this beautiful darkness here. We're going to echo that with the other darkness. So we have our first tulips. I'm going to start with my bells. Tulips are one of the few flowers that continue to grow after you cut them. So you're going to have the fun of remaking this bouquet a few times, because when your tulips grow, they get a little longer, a little floppier. You cut them down an inch or so. It kind of gives you a little extra play with these flowers. So again, you want to measure. This is a nice sturdy stiff stem. So I'm going to let him kind of go where he wants to go. But I'm going to cut this guy kind of short. This greenery is okay, but the thing with tulips is their leaves take up so much space. It's going to fill your bouquet, fill up your vase before you get many flowers in there. So I'm going to take some leaves off. If you find they have a lot of dirt under the leaves, you can rinse that off before you put it in your vase. I'm not going to do it right now. Maybe you can always cut it shorter, remember, but you can't cut it taller. Follow you. I have one tulip that's kind of, he's not dying, he's just naturally bent, right? I have one tulip, it's not straight up, it's just got this natural curve. So when you're making your flowers, you need to follow those natural curves. If I try to fight this, I'm just going to be disappointed with what I'm making, because this tulip will not stand up for me. But I can kind of tuck him in so he kind of drapes over a branch, which gives me some fullness. And as things start to take shape, they'll hold themselves in place. These Queen of the Nights are really gorgeous. They're tall, sturdy. We can make them our foil for our apple blossoms. And as your flowers grow, you will need to cut them. These tulips will lengthen in size, and they're gonna need to be cut. So I have that guy in there, but I think, well, I think I like him up here. So it helps to turn it as you go. You notice I'm getting really tall at this point. I'm not going to go much taller because that's way too wobbly. My arrangement will flop over at any breeze. So the Queen of the Nights, the apple blossoms are my tallest flower. These are lovely. I'm going to reflex these to give us this cool deep purple look. And I think I'll pop them right there. I love how it kind of echoes the apple blossom, that beautiful bright open petaled look. I'm going to reflex, I think, most of these just because they're gorgeous. I'm going to echo this guy on the other side at the front, I guess not the front, just on the other side of my arrangement. One thing I tell people when they come to classes or when they try to copy something that I'm making, either at a wreath class or a Thanksgiving centerpiece class, is yes, we want to follow principles of design, mechanics, etc. But also, you're the one looking at it. Like, this is going to be in your house. You're the one that needs to love it. So think to yourself, do I love this? Do I not? If you don't love it, start over. Pull them all out. Do it again. If you do love it, then keep it how it is. So I really like these. I like how we have a mix of the closed tulips, open tulips, the double tulips. If you want to, like, you can reflex as many tulips as you want, right? You don't have to keep them all closed. If you want to see the insides, the Queen of the Nights are a little bit stiff. I heard a little snap where I was trying to reflex it, and she didn't want to go. So I think I'm going to leave these alone. They'll open up a little more as you go. I think we'll pop in a little bit of these ruffled salmon ones to echo the deeper peach and the bell. I'm going to just kind of open them a little. I'm not reflexing, I'm just kind of gently opening. It helps if you turn your vase every time you add flowers. I'm going to keep my salmon, these orange guys, kind of deep in the arrangement for that kind of a nice pop of color. It'll be like a backdrop. And again, you'll see sometimes I don't like it, so I pull it out. Sometimes I love it, so I leave it right where it is. So at this point, our arrangement's getting pretty full. So we have our tulips, we have our apple blossoms, we have all different levels, right? We have tall, we have medium, we have some tucked in there, some short guys. So you don't have to have your heads and your faces all in the same place. If you think about your flowers having faces, sometimes it's a little nicer for them to kind of play peekaboo with you, you know? If you think of it like they're more beautiful when you catch a glimpse rather than the entire face. that's fine. That helps you look deeper into the arrangement, enjoy it more. So in your bouquet, you'll also receive some muscari, which are super delicate and lovely, but they're short, right? So they're going to be, sorry, I keep doing things tall. But anyway, they're short, right? So we can put these all through the arrangement, like a little, you know, kind of scattered throughout, or we can make them more of a focal point. I'm gonna make them a focal point. Maybe, we'll tuck them. I'll show you in just a second. I like how the blue looks against this orange, although it doesn't want to. It's not working there. Let's see. We're gonna bring it right in here so you can see how the blue looks against the orange. And they're so delicate and beautiful, but if you spread them out too much, they just kind of lose their visual weight. They become just little random bits. So we'll cluster them together for this moment. 3. I'll probably just cluster all 5 together. So there'll be a lovely surprise on one side of your arrangement. And that's kind of fun because it kind of keeps you looking all through it, looking for more. When the arrangement isn't exactly the same on every side, it intrigues your eye and it intrigues your brain, and you think, oh, I want to see what else is happening on the other side of this arrangement. So it helps to have things clustered at times. I mean, not super tight, just more like they grew here. Okay. We're getting a little full in our vase, but you want to make sure that everything goes down in the water. And you'll know within an hour if something didn't make it down in the water, because it's going to start to wilt. Oh man. This is the beauty and the difficulty of arranging with gorgeous local flowers, is they kind of have a life of their own. You know, they weren't grown to be perfectly straight. They were grown to be perfectly beautiful. But it just makes designing a tiny bit more difficult. But that's okay. It's part of the fun, right? So we're going to have our blue kind of clustered there. And then you'll have your bleeding hearts. Bleeding hearts, kind of perfect for Mother's Day, right? They're just gorgeous. And these are another super seasonal flower that you just, it's really difficult for a traditional florist to get these in. They don't ship well. They're not year-round, so they're a little bit hard to source. So you get this super special stuff. I'm going to take my bleeding heart. I've got a lot going on, right? But I'm going to extend out a little bit with my bleeding heart. You want to measure it against your vase, and then cut. But this is what's so lovely about the bleeding heart is it gives us some length. And we'll give you, let's see, do I want to go farther? So here's what I can do. I can go farther. I can go farther to echo the apple blossom. I'm going to ask my camera girl, what should I do? And go farther to echo the apple blossom. I can just keep this up high, although this is it's a lot of texture. right? It's a lot of texture happening here. You notice I'm cutting the leaves off. I'm tucking those down in the water for a little base. You can readjust things as you go. I think this guy, I want you to be up higher. So I'm gonna adjust you, pull you up a little bit.
I think you should go up high with the bleeding hearts.
Up high with the bleeding hearts, okay. Yeah. Every time you look, there's a little surprise. Up high with my bleeding heart.
Mm-hmm.
Your bleeding hearts have pieces that can be used in other spots. I'm going to echo the bleeding heart down here. And I'm going to bring you up high over here. At this point, we're getting real tight. So you can fit all kinds of flowers into this vase. You just have to be thoughtful as you maneuver it. So I like my bleeding heart up high. It kind of gives some weight for my apple blossom. We have deeper orange kind of coming through. I'm going to do a little orange right here. To echo my bells. So you'll notice here, I have these two tulips, right? One deeper, one a little bit more. It's echoing the bell. But now I want my bell up a little higher. I'm going to go over there. It's all in showing off your flowers, but you can let some be a little more of a focal than others. The last thing you want to do is you can kind of take a step back. This is what I tell everybody. And squint your eyes. Squint your eyes so everything goes a little fuzzy, a little out of focus, and that helps you to see, like, do I have holes? Do I not like what something looks like? Frankly, I don't like this apple blossom sticking up right here. I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to bring it over there. Actually, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to bring it right over here. So you can do that. You are allowed. These are your flowers, right? And I'm going to change this guy over here a little bit. So you'll notice when I finished, right, I'm still tweaking. I'm still thinking, oh, maybe I want this here, maybe I want that there. And if it just becomes overwhelming and you think it looks hideous, take a step back. Walk away for a minute, take a drink, then come back and you'll see that it wasn't as awful as you thought it was. You just were fussing at it too much. And I should stop fussing, because the more you fuss, the crazier it gets. So we start with our branches, because our branches give us our mechanics. They hold our flowers in place. And then we think about where we want our colors, right? Do we want colors kind of, I have my orange kind of bisecting. I have my Queen of the Night up here, because if I have these like tucked down deep, I'm not going to see them. I'm not going to love them. I want to let my bleeding hearts give us some beautiful drape, which then echoes my apple blossoms. For my purposes, I clustered my muscari because it's just gorgeous, and I feel like if I put it all over the arrangement, it would disappear. We wouldn't see it. So I want it kind of clumped together for visual interest. And you can tweak. So the best way to take care of this is you want to add fresh water every day. Tulips are thirsty, they drink a lot of water, and you'll find that you fill the water in the morning, and by evening a lot's going to be sucked up, depending also how hot your house is. So you can pull it out completely, change the water, pop it back in, or you can just tuck this, tuck the spigot, the faucet right in the vase and just flush the water out. The main thing is don't let it go fully dry. If you do let it go dry, you're going to see things are going to start to go. As flowers wilt, as flowers fade, pull them out. We don't want bacteria because that's going to kill everything faster. And then the fun thing is tulips continue to grow, so you can play with them practically every day. Whether you want to or not, that's your thing. But you can play with them. You can have a new arrangement. As something starts to go, you'll get like a smaller arrangement until you're moving things to bud vases. But it should give you a week of enjoyment. Reflexing is simply bending the petal back against your thumb. That'll give you a lot more visual interest in some of your tulips. And then these guys, we can reflex them because they're huge and they're gorgeous, or we can just kind of fluff them a little, let them open up on their own. That's a way to change your arrangement every day. So I'm super excited to do this. I'm really excited to see all of your arrangements. So feel free to tag me, to tag Sunnyside Drive. We want to see what you did. I'm sure it'll all be beautiful. And happy Mother's Day.